This is to.Aave, and this is Casual Crypto and Coffee. Today is Wednesday, a little bit later than normal. I slept in today. I think I'm coming down with a cold or something. I'm not quite sure. I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. I did stay up till about 2 a.m. getting some stuff done, but other than that, it's normal. So I don't know. I feel like I'm getting sick. I don't know if that's a thing, but I kind of feel it. Anyway, it's not really why you're here. So if you should be familiar with this by now, this is Casual Crypto and Coffee. I brew myself a cup of coffee, kind of go over that for about 30 seconds, and then we kind of go into the charts. This is also where I'm a little more, as you can expect, casual with this. So it's a little slightly unscripted. I will kind of pace myself. You might hear some ums or stuttering, because I stutter in real life. So you're gonna get more of a natural response out of me versus Monday's observations with Otsu, where it's just like bam, 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 we're done. So this is more casual. So it's come and go as you please. I'm gonna try to mark the altcoins, and I tend to focus on altcoins as well. So I'm gonna focus on as many charts as I can with the time that I give myself for this. I try to keep it under 30 minutes, but sometimes it does go up to 40 or 50. So depends how I feel. And so I'll mark the coins as well, so you don't have to watch all of it if you don't want to. I'm open for that. And also, thanks. I want to thank everyone for getting me to 200 subscribers. It's not very high, not very impressive, but that was one of my first milestones I wanted to see, and I got it. So I'm looking forward to 500 next. And yeah, the best thing that you can do is just like this video and subscribe. Honestly, it means so much to me right now, because I'm just building my YouTube. And so over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, even the next 2 years, I'm really trying to build this up, getting more themes, things like that. I am launching my new Discord group today, and I'm going to have it ready for you guys. I'll try to link it in the description, but if not, it'll be on my Twitter, or my Twitter and my Telegram. So if chances are, if you've seen this video, you're already familiar with some of my work, so you can just look at it there. Other than that, I think that's all the preliminary things. I'll get started with some basic market thoughts that I see in the news and in my feeds, and that'll take maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll go into the charts. All right, so we are going to look at Bitcoin. Take a sip of coffee here and just kind of analyze this. I don't really want to go spend a lot of time on Bitcoin too much, but it seems to be the more center of attention lately, and that's okay. We discussed this on the weekly. The weekly was good. I discussed 2 tweets in particular about Bitcoin. One was that when we have a run up like this, it usually doesn't get a follow through, not the way that we expect. So let's look at a few of these for an example. Here's the previous run up, and we had 3 weeks of pretty much sideways price action until another one. So the thing is, can you wait 3 more weeks of nothing? And chances are most of you can't, because I've already seen after 3 days, people are already fed up with the price action. So that's one reason. You just need to be patient with this, honestly. This is the last 2 weeks. I've traded more than I have since like pretty much January. So get used to that. I really think now is not quite the best time to trade. I think that's going to be next year. I think now is more getting in strategic long-term positions and accompanying that with a few trades. The next bigger one was right here, and that actually is one of the few that actually did get a run up, and we actually got 2 more, so that was pretty good. And so I think that kind of prepped us to get used to that. But anyway, we had this one, which was immediate bear market continuation, and then we had a few here that did okay, a few here that did okay, and then one here. This was all right, but then the sell-off was pretty intense. So I just want that to keep in mind. You don't really get the run up that you think that you do. The only time you get the run up is when you have a parabolic move like this. And so that's the thing. I think we're still kind of in a weird phase where we have bear PTSD, but we also expect bullish price action right away. And so maybe the bearish market isn't necessarily done, but per se, I think the bear market is over. I just think maybe we're not going to get that price action. We're not going to get the full mark up phase just yet. And in fact, I really don't want it to happen just yet, because when you see something like this, here was your markup. We didn't really have a distribution, so this was your markdown. This was distribution, markdown. And then we took, what is it here? Basically, if you go from here to here, 250-ish days, give or take. It's not quite accurate, but you pretty much got like at least 1/2 to 2/3 of a year to go. And so if we kind of do that same calculation here, we don't include this deviation, and I do think the FTX is a deviation. So your same thing would probably be till September. So we might not get any good price action till September, and I think we need to be prepared for that. And that sucks, that hurts sometimes, but it's something you got to prepare for. You can't expect the price to do what you want it to do. It doesn't work like that. So anyway, enough on the weekly. But the second thing I did want to mention as I go to the daily is the Bitcoin dominance, and I've mentioned that on Twitter as well, that we need to pay more attention to Bitcoin and Ethereum in particular, mainly Bitcoin, versus altcoins. And we can see right here we have another one. Yeah, we are down 1.6%, but everything else is down. It almost doubled that, right? If not more. And some of these are even down like 10% or more. I don't really look at looks that much, but you see what I'm saying? Like almost all of the run-ups for the past 2 weeks, Bitcoin has been leading that, and all the downtrends, the altcoins have been leading that. So Bitcoin is pretty much in the race for being the highest performing asset class of crypto for the past 2 weeks. And that needs to keep in mind. So when we look at things like the Bitcoin dominance chart, it tends to reflect, right? So like we're still getting that run up. We're almost at 52%. And this is something that I've talked about for quite some time. When Bitcoin gets above 50%, historically, it is bad for alts. Historically, it is bad for alts. And so what happens is you have, something like this. This was a bad time for alts, but when we went down, it was a little bit better for alts. So what you want to see is you want to see Bitcoin gain dominance, but then you want to hold Bitcoin as, like, why not hold Bitcoin as it, if it's the most dominant coin, why would you not focus on that? I don't understand the reasoning for focusing on altcoins so much when it's not profitable to do so. So we wait until it gets a drop. Another thing I'm considering is this trend line, because we have not broken this trend line in the entire Bitcoin history, and this here is pretty much when I joined, and so it has not broken this since I've personally joined crypto. So it's very interesting to me. I want to see this. I do want to see this break. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if it will. I don't have any technical qualifications on why it would or why it wouldn't. This is an anomaly type of analysis, so we can't really judge it one way or the other. But if we do get a strong rejection from here, this makes me think that we could see a premature alt season, and so that's something to be hopeful for. We'll see how that goes. Right now, Bitcoin's still in charge, very much so. So let's go back on the daily here, and what I want to analyze with this is we've had just a bunch of nothing, and I don't really mean this in a mean way, because I said that in a tweet as well. This is just a consolidation period. So the best way to look at this is actually kind of zoom out just a little bit and kind of look at this as an entire range. And if you don't know, here's the thing, if you don't know what to do with a certain price area, just make a block, make a range. It's so easy to do. It quantifies all the data into a simplified way. You don't necessarily get the answers that you want, but at least you can contextualize the entire price action to kind of see something that's going on. See what I'm saying? So that's why if you see my observations videos, all these other things, I do a lot of these levels. I do whether it's a block or a fib level or a range or a support and resistance. That's usually because you're trying to quantify a data set to make it make more sense. So this is how I would view that. And so right now, there's nothing really going on, honestly. Until we break down below 29.8, it doesn't matter. And so a lot of people are waiting for a break of 20 or 30 because it's kind of like a psychological number. But don't. It's stupid. It's pointless. I don't want to say stupid, but just like arbitrary numbers don't really mean anything. So the level here is at 29.8, which is close enough to 30, but you see what I'm saying. So overall, we have this. Another thing that I also see when we have runs up like this, excuse me, is to wait for a trend break. And so this would be here. So if the price action can break this point, I am much more heavily interested to long. And so for some reason, based off of TA, when you get a trend break going into a bullish perspective, it tends to run up. And so that is what we saw with something like this. And this isn't the best example, but we had the trend, we had the break, and then it ran up. So this is what I'm looking for, okay? And that's, I can spend 2 hours explaining why that is the case, but just know that it just happens. It happens very frequently, and so that's what I look for. So overall, you have that, and then you also have, I can make a fib marker like this. That's kind of broken though, so I don't want to. Actually, I think I did it with this one. So if this is a mini consolidation period, so I can kind of quantify it like so, and you can see it touched the mid on both times. So that's what it was. I think I did that on a lower time frame. Yeah, that's why I was confused. So it's still respecting the middle. This is still bullish to me. Okay, it doesn't look that great, I will admit that, but this isn't that bad. A less than down, a red day that's less than 2% is still a pretty good day in my opinion for where we're at in the markets. So that's what I see. Other than that, everything is still looking fine. The RSI is okay. This isn't super important at the moment, although it is a little concerning. We do have the Arun bearish consolidation. I mentioned this as well. And so we have 9 days for the bears to do something about this. That's how long their consolidation period is. And I do that because 62 divided by 7 rounded up is 9. That's how I get that. So another thing is that we also have, where's it at? I guess I should do, I guess I could do this. We have a resistance point here that we didn't deviate from, because you have to have a hold and then a breakdown, and so we probably could look at this as a deviation here. So this is another area where I can see why things look more bearish than they are, because we did deviate above and then we broke back below. So I'm not interested in longs either, by the way. So I think it's just a time to sit down in the market. There's no real point to add extra risk to long something that you already should have longed before. And that's one reason I was so vocal about this area before, is because we had this trend. Okay, it actually went like this. We broke below it, we broke above I longed here, and then we took part of that move. So, and then we also had this. So this was a very easy setup. That was something that you should have quadrupled your normal risk on and took advantage of. So I think overall, I think that's one reason why people try to get over risk now, is because they missed that move. And so that's something you just got to look at the right move. That's how I see it. So overall, I still think Bitcoin's doing good. It's not doing as good as I would like to do it. It is showing a little bit of weakness, not enough to be concerned. Overall, looks okay. What do I want to see from a bearish standpoint? Well, mainly, I just want to see this break. So if this breaks, if this small one breaks, I think it is time to start getting out of some markets, or maybe start to short, or whatever that looks like for you. So overall, that's kind of what I see right here. Very basic. I'm just waiting. This could be a reaccumulation period, by the way. We don't know that for sure. So I think it's just wait. It's more of a wait game, in my opinion. So, all right. So now we're gonna go to Ethereum, and then we'll just hit some alts. A lot of alts look crappy, so we can kind of go through them a little faster than normal. I don't know how long this has been, but I'll see if I can get in about 6, including Ethereum. So let's just keep going forward. All right. So took a little break there. Got me some mineral water. Got me some sinus medicine. I think I am getting sick. Appreciate you going on the journey with me being sick. Just kidding. So going to go through Ethereum now. Kind of look at this. I was really confused on this structure, honestly. So I reported on Twitter that we had this structure right here, and then we had the reclaim. I was like, okay, great, that's a good idea. But we actually went down below. So this is a very complex structure. I don't really like it, honestly. It has more of a scythe formation, and typically, you know, scythe is more bearish in its nature. So I don't really like this. Another thing is, I don't know if I should get rid of this or not. Actually, I don't know what that is, so I'll get rid of it. But one thing I do see is that we have a bullish engulfing candle that cross over this order block and this one alone. So we can kind of put this right here. And so this is kind of what I see that we could touch back down. I think that's something that is pretty likely to happen. And so we have we have that structure as well. Is also, if we kind of extend this, sometimes it's hard to do. It actually works well with this bottom area right here. So I like this. We could treat this all as one big deviation, head and shoulders, whatever. And this could go back down. Unfortunately, that's a little bit bigger of a down move than I would like, but that's just how it works sometimes. About 5%, 4.5%. But I think that's okay, and that might not happen for another week or so. But that's what I see. That makes the most sense as far as what we have to work with. Other than that, there's not much really to go with here, even if we do the line chart. You can't really, I mean, you could do something like this and make kind of a channel, like a pennant type channel. You could. I think this is still worth looking at in case this does not break. If it bounces on this line, I think that's okay. But I have low conviction on those. Those don't really happen that often. Excuse me. So I think, you know, that's something that we can watch, but not necessarily hold high conviction with. So that's pretty much it with Ethereum, honestly. Overall, this is still pretty choppy compared to a lot of other alts. I don't really like this slow move up, slow grind down. Much more robotic in nature, not really confirming any kind of trend, anything like that. So the only really reason I think that we should concentrate over alts is because it tends to be the Bitcoin of alts, so to speak, and so it tends to be much less volatile to certain price actions with other alts. So like for example, you take something like Flow, like I don't know how good Flow is, to be honest with you, but it's one of those things. People are ready to jump out of Flow much faster than they are Bitcoin or Ethereum. And even if people could get out of Ethereum, they may not be able to because they have their wallets in Ethereum. Or maybe if you're trading Flow on a DEX exchange and you have a DEX wallet, you're going to sell that for what? Ethereum or wrapped Bitcoin, for example. So that's the assets that you go to. You can't really go into USD on a decentralized wallet. So Ethereum is the way to go. So that's one reason. It's kind of a hedge against the alts. And so as a result, it's not going to fluctuate the way that alts do. So that's something to keep in mind. Overall, this is pretty choppy. I would just, overall, you really just want it to be above this range, I think. Once it gets into the 2000s, I think it's good. But right now, this does not look that great to me, in all honesty. So I'm going to pause real quick, take a short minute break or two, and we'll go into some alts. All right, so I took a pretty substantial break, about 2 or 3 hours, because we had some stuff going on. My wife's sick, things like that. So anyway, we're going to keep going with this. It's going to be a little longer than I expected, but that's okay. Like I said, you can come and go as you please. So we're going to go over a few more. I think we'll try to go over about 4 or 5. And so right now we're going to go over to Solana. So, and I do want to mention too that since the 2 or 3 hours that I've been, kind of taking a break from this, or intermission, is that we did have a pretty big down move. We can look at this at Bitcoin, I guess, very briefly, but on the 30-minute chart, this is basically it. Like, it's not really significant in that regard. In fact, it's kind of setting up a divergence here on the 30-minute chart, and this is represented by the AO as well. So overall, I think this isn't anything. I mean, we retraced this, right, and we're still above 2% of a loss. So this is nothing. This isn't really anything. In retrospect, don't think that every move is going to be a 20% drop, because very rarely is that the case. So anyway, we've had some other ones drop pretty significantly. A lot of them, I'll cover, like Doge has went down and it retraced up. We'll go into that. So anyway, that was a quick intermission. I think I'll pause it so I can get back on track with Solana, and then we'll keep going. All right, so Solana. I'm going to cover this on the daily. Let's just go ahead and get rid of all of this. So Solana, I've been pretty conflicted on, because you can't really see it from this the daily, but you can see it from the 4-day. When we had this reaction, the rest of the market reacted much better than this. This was a pretty sluggish price action compared to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of other pairs. I still think Solana does kind of suffer from the whole FTX thing, and so that's that collateral damage that you may have seen me refer to. And the first time I kind of referred to that was years ago with XRP, with the SEC scenario, things like that. And what I mentioned was, it doesn't matter if the SEC wins or loses, because the XRP is going to be damaged as a result. And so at that time, I traded on Kraken, actually, and I don't any longer, but I used to trade Ripple on 5x leverage on Kraken. Now, not only can you not do leverage unless you have a net worth of $2 million. Yes, I said that. $2 million is correct. Now they don't even have XRP on their exchange. Now they may now, I'm not so sure, but I don't think so. And so it's weird to me, because I actually have XRP on, I still have my Kraken account, and it just really has XRP, and it's not even that much, because I think I would buy and sell, so there's just dust. But the thing is, I can't trade it. I can't trade it on its own exchange, so it's kind of locked. It's kind of stupid. And so really, really silly. We've seen that with other things as well. But now Solana's kind of in the mix, where it has collateral damage from FTX. It was very closely tied to FTX, and so, which is a shame, because Solana is a pretty good coin. I like I like Rust, which is the language that it's based off of. I like its proof of history. It's got a lot of things going for it, but the ecosystem has suffered. The same with Binance Chain and the whole Binance stuff. Like, technically, the Binance Chain doesn't have anything to do with Binance. Now, it does use the same coin, however. But the thing is, that ecosystem is suffering because of this, SEC again. And that could be their tactic. I don't know. That's not part of the video. The thing is, I noticed that. It's a long explanation, but I noticed this kind of slump, and I kind of tied that together, and we're kind of seeing the same thing. So when we started to go up here, I was like, okay, this here looks like where we would retrace. And so I was looking for a short position, kind of something like this, like kind of like so. And I didn't get it. It was very close, but I did not get it. So I didn't get into this, but it is going down still. And I think that's a key aspect to where I don't think it's going to get the reactions that we would like. And so it's kind of hovering on this flip. It's not even really reacting to this very well, although we are getting a little bit of a divergence here. I would not be surprised if this actually goes up, in fact. So that's something to keep in mind. Where does the indicator say? It doesn't say much. So no buy signal on that candle. Pretty conflicting signals altogether. It's a good sign that the coin's becoming a little more liquid than it should be. So it's kind of sad to see. But that's kind of look on Solana. This was a good play, I think, to buy in, but it's been pretty bad ever since. There's no divergence, wedge in play. There's really nothing. So I would not be surprised if it goes down farther, unfortunately. So that's Solana. A little bit of quick thing on that. I'm going to go to Binance now. Binance Chain. We've talked a lot about this before. How I'm pretty much frustrated at this. I think this absolutely must hold $200 especially, but particularly $220. if it goes down below 200, I see $50. I see double digits targets. And so this is kind of what it looks like. We kind of got this double TP formation. Now, this is interesting because if it would have made a lower low, which it did not currently, it's about even actually. So we'll use this as an example. We've got about 2 hour and a half left. So this is be interesting because right now this is what I would call a TP formation, and that's something that I've gotten from a trader that I used to talk to that no longer trades actively on Twitter. But a TP formation is a bearish formation as a result of the supply going back to the original demand. That's not what you want to do. And so basically this would end up being a deviation, so to speak, of a consolidation period. And so that's not what you want to see. You'll probably get a bearish follow through. However, if this closes lower, then that's a divergence. So let's say it closes somewhere like here where the wick would be. That's a divergence because of this structure right here. So this is a structure you want to see closing bearishly. You want the candle to close bearish so it sets up a bullish demand discrepancy, basically. So it's a lot of jargon, but basically divergence bullish, not divergence bearish. That's kind of what you need to know with that. And so we can kind of see this acting up. You know, this fib is the high time frame, so we'll just get rid of this. This is more mid to low time frame, and you can see these liquidity areas kind of working with each other. And you could even flip that up like so where it didn't even touch. And so, I mean, I hate to say it, but this doesn't look awfully bullish to me. So we do need to look out for this trend line. It keeps getting respected. This isn't particularly, I mean, this is kind of wedge formation ish. So I would probably play the break of that wedge. We'll see. Again, I think the daily is much more critical on the application. So lower low, if it's divergence, I would long this in my, I think that's a very good long if it closes bearish, honestly, because that sets up a divergence. Other than that, but I don't know if it's quite the R&R that you'd want anyway. So, and again, that goes back to the collateral damage from Solana that I talked about. So, very interesting. I'm not interested in Binance Chain at all. I just cover it because it's a main coin, and a lot of you guys do. So, all right, on to the next, which I believe will be Dogecoin. All right, so we'll do 1 or 2 more after this. So we'll do Dogecoin. I might even do a recap. So, I mean, this video is already going to be like 30 minutes long. What's another 10 minutes? So, and I can just talking about my thoughts. So if it helps you, great. If it doesn't, you're welcome to turn this off. So daily, unfortunately, we broke below this low. I hate to see it a lot. I actually have a position open for this, and it did not stop out because I wait till candle closes. Sometimes that is very critical and unfortunate, but in other times it does help. So far, we are doing good. I think I'm going to change this just to get a better analysis. So going on to daily, and so this is a hard structure to deal with. And so again, with this, I would just do a big, huge fib thing. We broke below that, so we know that this is a little more bearish territory. And so with this, I would probably do something like so. So that doesn't really help us as well. So we're kind of stuck in this middle range here. And I don't really particularly like it. I think I'll get stopped out, to be honest with you. But I just kind of leave it at that. So another option is to look at this as this breaker here, and look at this whole thing as maybe one little mini structure, like a retest structure. Now this makes sense on multiple ways because 1, now we have a point of reference, and 2, now we have a retest of that point. So this still looks okay. I'm not very hopeful about this, but this was a position that I did enjoy looking at and getting into. But we'll see how that goes. I don't think I would like to make a wedge out of this, honestly. I'd like to do something like this, but that's not quite. There's too much gap in here for that to qualify, in my opinion. So overall, it's probably not the best long position. There's not really any clear levels with this. This isn't really something that you want to see out of an alt, and this is kind of why I mentioned like Bitcoin is so much stronger. Like Bitcoin is not even 2% for the day, where everything else, you know, Dogecoin is 2.5 times that. Some of these other ones, like Aave, is just, it's like wanting to die. You know, it's just, and that's where you get fooled by things like this, and then you get caught up, you get trapped, you buy here, and then now you've went down. This is actually potentially a good one. Maybe we'll come back to Aave. We'll do Aave. We'll do Matic, and then we'll do Aave. But overall, I'm hanging in there with this. Not particularly excited about it. The idea here was that we reclaimed this level, and then we lost that level. So not exactly what I want to see. We still have a bearish wedge for the A rune, so I don't. It's not too promising, unfortunately. So and the goal was, I thought this was going to break bullishly here, and it still can. I think it still can, and so I might even hold that a little bit longer. So if we do, I think it was was it the 3-day I was focused on? Yeah. So if we do something like this on the 3-day, I mean, it's still respecting here. We still have all this here. And if I do a fib marker here, we are still above it. So overall, I don't think this is a bad position, honestly, because we're at the lows, and it could go bullishly. We could do one of these numbers, right? And so that's kind of what I was looking at. And so it could go like 100%. We don't even know. So I'm hopeful for it. I would like to stay into it. We'll see how that goes. I might wait to see what this looks like on my Apex. But anyway, that's Dogecoin. Let's go to Matic. All right, we're going to go to Matic here. And so this was an area of support that I looked at before, and we broke below that. It's been some time. I don't think I've talked about Matic too much on YouTube or on my longer videos. But now we can kind of, if we can zoom out and look at the 3-day. And again, this was this bullish. I can already see this. We had that bullish engulfing. It broke from this region past this region. So you had one region, two regions. When it makes a pass of a region, then you can use that as a region for support or retest. So if you're familiar with baseball terms, American baseball terms, this would be very similar to like, if you don't know this, look it up. You can look it up. So when you hit the ball, and you can run the bases. Now, if you go from first base, you tag first base, and let's say you want to go from first base, second base, third base, but on the way to second, you don't touch the base. You just jump over it, and this does happen usually on accident. So you hit first base, you don't hit second base, you hit third base. You're supposed to go back to second base. So you have to touch the bases in order. And that's the same with the order blocks. You have to touch these in order. So this was an order block here. This was an order block here. And probably more so here, I would say. But since we broke through the order block, you need to come back and touch this one again. So that's pretty much what that means. We did that. I think this looks okay. I think this looks pretty good. Let's see what the fib marker shows. Pretty much on point with the lower part of this. I can extend that out. So I like this a lot. And so this kind of matches up a little bit with the low. I'm getting a good entry. The only problem is I don't know if this is going to react bullishly right away. That's the thing. You can get a good entry, and this could do like something like this, and then go up. So you might not even get a good return until October. Like, can you guys wait, that long, right? So that's something to consider. Is this a spot position? And then, so you're more likely to do that. If you're a leverage position, that's not really doable, right? So I see that. I think that's the clearest thing that I see. I could zoom out, or zoom in rather, on the 4 hour. It doesn't really tell me much anything. I would much rather prefer, honestly, just a break of this trend and to long this. Honestly, I'm not sure I would long it just yet. This doesn't look hopeful right now. But that's okay. This big down move isn't necessarily something good I want to see just yet. Sometimes you want to buy instantly. or sell instantly, and neither one's really a good idea. You just have to wait for confirmation, wait for the levels. So anyway, that's Matic. I like it really good on the long term. I like this level, but I'm not sure I would press the button just yet. So all right, I'm gonna go on one more. I'm gonna go to Aave, and then I'll end the video. All right, so on to Aave, and I'm glad I kind of touched it accidentally because it's or touched on it accidentally. So anyway, the biggest thing I see here is this big trend line. I think I can kind of zoom out and take a look at this. So we have this big order block right here. We have the triple bottom. I think I mentioned this maybe in the observations video. But I like this. I do not want to see this go below. I don't. And I don't know if this is available on other... I wish TradingView would let us see like which one's the longest. I think that would be really helpful. I think that doesn't really help me either. Excuse me. Let's see. I mean, that's not going to help me either probably. So we'll just go back to this. So this is what we got. We got a big jump move from there. We got a down move, but we don't have quite the down move as we do with other coins. So for example, you know, Ethereum made a big bearish reaction. Solana, you know, it did okay. But some of these, you know, I'm trying to look for ones that have actually pumped. So Atom doesn't look that bad, but like other ones have had bigger down moves than others. So Aave, despite the fact that we went down 8.5%, still looks okay. Overall, this is a good long-term position for me. This is a blue chip coin for me, and I would wait. If I wanted to buy this, I would buy to hold it. So what do I want to see? First of all, I'd like to see a reclaim of 50 RSI. That's pretty much a given. We have an ARN bearish consolidation, so I don't know if that's going to happen just yet. I also would like to see a trend break of here. That's where I would want confirmation. I'm okay buying a little bit higher. You know, like even as much as 30-35% before I buy in. And so that's the thing too. People see, and I see this all the time with really prominent accounts, where it's like, oh my gosh, you know, this coin went up, you know, 20-30%, we should have bought. Well, yeah, you should have, but you didn't even talk about that. Like it wasn't even on your feed. And so that, like, why are you talking about a coin that went up when you knew that you weren't going to buy it? Because you didn't take note of it. So that's the thing, right? So you just got to keep that in mind. You can't focus on coins that have already pumped. You need to look for good setups. So anyway, Aave looks okay, but I don't think it's okay just yet. So I would probably buy if it reclaims this area or it goes into this area. So anyway, so that's the video. I hope you liked it. Sorry I kind of fumbled that this week. It's been a crazy week. Not feeling good, other things catching up with. So hope you enjoyed that. Like, subscribe if you like my work, and I'll see you next time.